This video is designed to show you how to build an offer in TrackDrive on a brand new account with data coming from a ViciDial system or something like that, where the agents are external to TrackDrive but trying to post data into TrackDrive in the call so that we can route from one campaign on ViciDial, for example, to 10 buyers on TrackDrive. So I'm going to go ahead here and click on Add Offer, and I'm going to do Medicare calls here. If I could type. And then I'm going to find the template that I'm looking for here, which is going to be Medicare, and I'm only doing inbound calls. If you're trying to set up an offer where you're also going to have agents on TrackDrive, maybe transferring calls from ViciDial to agents here that will be quality assurance people to do the transfers that have maybe perhaps better English accents or something like that. But for now, we're just going to do an inbound campaign that's going directly from your ViciDial to your TrackDrive so we can distribute the calls for you. I'm going to create offer here. I am going to pause the video while it creates this so I don't waste time. Okay, so I will go ahead and let it create this offer. Once it gets done, you'll be able to click on View Offer. Now what this has done is it's completely set up everything you need to work in Medicare calls. The biggest thing being, and why it took so long to actually create each offer, is we do go ahead and create your contact fields for you so you can stay somewhat on a standard with TrackDrive. So the stuff in green is going to be standard contact information. Stuff in maroon here is how the lead was created originally before you were doing your outbound calls on it. Stuff in red here is stuff that agents change either on TrackDrive or in your case on ViciDial that you can tell us about, their agent ID and what's list ID they were working on and whatnot. The black stuff here is usually communications to other systems, but we'll finally get down to the bottom here when things are in blue that are going to be things related to the vertical you're on. So this is what happens when we create the offer, and I just wanted to show you what happens. We do a lot of work for you there in a one-click install. The biggest thing to get going quickly is you simply have to come up here on the call flow where we have a buyer here, and we're going to edit that, and this buyer right here needs to be fixed because it's the first buyer on the offer. So I'm going to go ahead and say I want to edit this right here, and I'm going to fix things like where are we forwarding this call. So I'll just make something up, 877-322-34455. And I'm going to say this is ABC Medicare Company. ABC Medicare. Okay, this might be more something like ABC-M or something, but who knows. So you put in the time zone that this buyer's open, no big deal. You will want to manage filters. So even though you might currently be calling for one buyer and you only load a list that has his states in it, the concept on TrackDrive is we're going to have 20 buyers on this one offer. So if you don't remember anything from this video other than once you create an offer in TrackDrive, you shouldn't need another one in the same vertical. So this is my one and only Medicare offer I need to make. And then we put all the buyers on that, and that's how it makes you so much money. So I'm going to come in here and say on geographic filters, this guy said, yeah, I take everything but, let's say, Maryland and North Dakota. So instead of checking off everything where it's very hard to see what he doesn't take, I might just switch this to here and say, I don't forget what I said, but I don't take Maryland. If I could find it. I don't take Maryland or North Dakota, I said. So, okay, so I'm just saying I don't take those two states. So when I create this buyer, I'm putting in filters here to say, hey, what's going on here? Now I'm not going to go over too much about the buyers other than just how to get going quickly. But on this help screen here, if you don't have it, the little blue man, you can go to profile and say turn on inline manual. But you'll see the videos are made up to show you the parts of the offer and then parts of the buyer. So if you're looking at this screen here, we've got attributes, and it talks about buyer attributes, and then the next section's caps and hours. These videos will coincide with that. Again, if you don't have the help button, just go up to your little blue man here and go to profile and turn on inline manual, and this help button will show up. So we're putting in where we're going to forward the calls to. We're putting in what states they take. If you're going to cap them, you could say, okay, this guy prepaid me $5,000, but he wants to only take 20 calls, paid calls a day. Oops, it's faster than I was. The autosave does its thing pretty quickly. All right, so then business hours is when is this person open to take calls? And do keep in mind, you want to always remember, you're going to try to get many, many buyers on here. So I'm going to edit this, and I'm going to just come in and say, clear this off. And he has told me that he's open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, let's say. And then on Saturday, he's open from 9 to noon. So what I'm doing is I'm just dragging the hours that he takes it. And then he says, I have 5 agents for you. So we don't want to send him any more than 5 calls at a time. So we're concurrently capping him at 5, and this is when he's open to take calls. All right. So then we come down to here in conversion settings. How much is he paying you? So we just put in some defaults here. So this is pretty simple. He's going to pay me $35 for these calls. They have to last 120 seconds. He's going to dedupe me for 30 days, meaning if I send him the same caller, he's not going to pay for that, right? So then I come in here and say, if we're going to turn on real-time bidding, and I can discuss that later, he could change his price by $1 at a time. His minimum price would be $35, and he could go up to $45. So if you're going to let buyers edit their own pricing to try to get more calls, this is where you do it, and that's on. We'll just show you that on the buyer video, so it can go by. All right, so we got this here where it's creating the buyer that. The call flow priority is how you determine who's going to take the calls. Some people just manually route by tier and weight, but most people I try to convince route by earnings per call if you want to make the most money. I'm not going to go over this concept. Again, go to help and go to buyer and call flow priority, and I discuss in detail how to set these things up. Okay, so if you need to give access to that buyer, you just click team access. I need to create a new team, key in his email address here, say update. He'll get an invite to see your system. And here's the big thing. You're going to be posting data from ViciDial. If this buyer needs you to post that data to him, that happens here in the buyer setup. So I go to webhooks and actions. I'd say post data to ABC Medicare. And the trigger typically is going to have to be fired during the call before we dial the buyer, because more than likely their system needs the data before they answer the call, so it can pop their screen with this data. So I can go ahead and create that. And you see it'll automatically filter that belongs to this buyer. And then I would just go into webhooks and create the webhooks, get, post, JSON, whatever. I'm not going to take time to do that, but we can help you with posting instructions to your buyers. And if you have to do a ping post, we'll discuss that as well. But this is a quick, hey, I need to get this guy data. The trigger, the important thing is more than likely you're going to be firing that before you dial the buyer. All right. So now this buyer is all set up. I know where I'm going to send the calls. I know what states he doesn't take. I know how much he's going to keep getting for calls until things stop. I know when he's open to take calls and how many he can take at a time. I know how much he's going to pay me, and go from there. So now we're all set on this buyer. So when we go back to our instructions here, okay, this guy's fixed here. I'm going to click update here, and I'm just going to refresh the screen here to show you that that buyer changed here. So we have ABC Medicare. Now, the concept is you're going to have lots and lots and lots of buyers. So I've set up the first buyer. You'd be ready to go as far as the offer is set up. However, if I need another buyer, I just say I want a new one. I would just copy from the other guy. And then I'm going to fix things. So his phone number is something else, 866-333-5555. He's going to be DEF Medicare, and I just change him to, stop it, DEF Medicare, and it puts the word copy in there, of course. Next step. Okay. So now that person is on the offer, but obviously I might have to change some things. So just like you saw me edit ABC Medicare from the default buyer originally, I'm going to edit this guy in line and fix him up to have the right states, the right payout, et cetera, et cetera. So you get the idea there. So that's that. So now my offer is completely set up with 2 buyers on it. So how do we get the calls to TrackDrive? Okay, well, we're just going to have to then go to traffic sources. And I'm going to say I'm going to be the only traffic source on here because I'm not really tracking where I got my data from in ViciDial. So I'm just going to say that I am the ViciDial demo, and the company is ViciDial. So really, you would put in your own name and your company name here, saying this is my internal traffic. If you really have other traffic sources that help you out, they're also sending calls to you. I'll just show you that. I'll add another one and say, okay, I got traffic source ID 1000. That's going to be John Doe, and he's with ABC Marketing. Okay, so traffic sources are who are sending you calls to help you out. So it could be you are sending calls from your own ViciDial. You can also have other traffic sources helping you. All the same concept. They're going to post data to TrackDrive, and I'll show you where that is. And the only difference is, are we using your ID in the posting instructions, or are we using John Doe's ID when they're posting into us? Okay, so now I have a traffic source. To get you going on your ViciDial really quickly, you simply need to purchase a number. So we're going to come in here and say I want for my Medicare offer for traffic source me from my own ViciDial, right? I want a local number, and I can pick an area code or whatever, but I'm just going to grab a number here. Okay, so now I'll be able to forward from ViciDial to 209-332-8151, and I say place this order. Okay, so now this number is going to show up in my system. If you were going to pay someone, like if it was John Doe's account and you have to pay him for his calls, if we edit this number here, you'll see here that we have traffic source payouts. So I can come in here and key in how much I have to pay that publisher. For your own internal traffic, you probably don't have to do this step. However, what you might want to do for your own internal traffic is this checkbox here, which means data is coming from an external agent. And I'll make a separate video about this that I'll put under the help here. But it allows you to let agents send a call to TrackDrive. Buyer 1 is a voicemail or a hold queue. He doesn't want to leave the call there, so he'll press star or 9 or whatever we configure for the agent on your ViciDial system to be able to press to tell TrackDrive try a different buyer. So in my example I'll show later, I'll probably do star means, try a different buyer. It would then hang up on the buyer that was on a hold queue and go to the next buyer you have listed. So like you saw when I set up the offer, I had 2 buyers. Again, your goal is to get 6, 10, 15, 20 buyers on that one Medicare offer so that TrackDrive can help you route the calls. The agents won't have to do anything other than find an interested person that wants to talk about Medicare, click webform 1, send us the data, forward the call to that one DID, and they're done on this offer. So no matter who the buyers are, we're taking care of that. The agents no longer have to think about any of that stuff. They are just going to be able to work on one campaign. So how do we get the data to TrackDrive from ViciDial? Well, if I go back to the offers here, you'll see that we have these leads API key. So when people are posting us leads, this key right here to post Medicare calls to leads to us is right here. So I'm going to grab that key, right? So I'm going to copy that. Now I have a screen already up. You can find this Excel spreadsheet on the help screen on ViciDial integration. You can download from that video link the ability to do that. So the key here is that I'm going to put in this field here, that token, right, that says what campaign TrackDrive is trying to send to. Now you're trying to send data to yourself, from yourself. So you're the traffic source 9999. The only difference would be if John Doe was sending you calls, the other call center, not your own. The only difference in the posting instructions would be that he would put in 1000 here, because I could set that guy up as traffic source ID 1000. The traffic source IDs can be alphanumeric, so whatever you want to make those when you're creating a traffic source, that is telling the system who is sending us these calls, right? So that's what I did there. Now, right now, this already would be a link that you send into ViciDial. So if I just copy this link here, then I would have what I need to put on webform 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. That's the button I would click to send the data to TrackDrive. It's that simple to get that link. The question that we don't know is we've mapped things to the most common. So our fields are here. ViciDial standard contact fields are here. right? You might use custom fields and have a video about that, but we're assuming you're not using any custom fields on your ViciDial. The question we have many times is we don't know where you put the Jornea lead ID, for example, or trusted form cert URL. So let's say your standard was to put those fields in address 1 for Jornea, or I'm sorry, address 2 for Jornea and address 3 for trusted form. We're going to tell the system we need to change how you're mapping ViciDial. So address 2, you're saying I didn't use it for address 2. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to clear address 2 off of the address 2 field. And I'm going to come down to the Jornea lead ID, and I am saying I put that on my ViciDial in address 2, and I put the trusted form in address 3. Okay, so now this, no matter what you're mapping here, you're able to use any of these things to get the new URL. So now this would get to TrackDrive, the Jornea lead ID from address 2, and the trusted form lead ID from address 3 in your ViciDial. That would be the link you place on ViciDial in webform 1. You are now ready to send calls to TrackDrive. With that easy of a setup, we've set up the offer, we set up who's going to send us the calls, we bought a number, you buy a number per publisher obviously, for them to forward the calls to you, and then they have the string to send from ViciDial. Now if you have a publisher that's on something other than ViciDial, where you're going to build up that URL for them, that you just have to ask them where you put in these special fields like Jornea, so you can give them their own link. I'm going to come in here to the posting instructions. Let me turn those on here. So let's say John Doe's company is not on ViciDial. He's going to need instructions. So I'm going to come into these public posting instructions. I'm going to come in here and say I'm trying to give John Doe his instructions, and I just click on Get Instructions. That'll open a new window that is our standard posting instructions. So this would tell the publisher, hey, this is how you post data to this offer for your company, right? My ViciDial Quick Demo Install is my company name here. This would have your company name, but you can just copy and paste the URL of this link that I linked out to, and this would be something you can give them for instructions. It tells them what all our fields are and how they can map from their system to our system to send us data. But that is how, in a nutshell, you can get going on TrackDrive in just minutes from your own ViciDial or trying to have other people send you calls. All you have to do is do the quick install of the offer and fix that first buyer to be your first, the dummy buyer I created for you, to be your first buyer, and then add more buyers and add more buyers and add more buyers. When you have questions, just reach out to us in your support group on Skype, or you can send a ticket if we're not responding at support@trackdrive.com.